Hey geeks, I'm Trey Guillotine and you're watching Geekly Trends, where I give a few thoughts about some of the geeky trends that have happened in the past week. I've been playing the Mass Effect Andromeda trial a few days early before its release and have a few thoughts about it. But first, with the success of R-rated comic book movies like Logan and Deadpool, DC says it's 100% open to having R-rated superhero movies. Oh, well, of course, since Marvel and someone else did superhero movies rated R and they were successful, DC's gotta do it. But DC has already done Constantine and Watchmen, which are two really great films on their own. Watchmen is, I think, the closest adaptation to a comic book that I've seen. And just a fantastic film, visually, and the action is great, so is the soundtrack. Everything about it just really works. So if DC can go about making movies on the same level as Constantine or Watchmen, I would actually think this would be a good idea. They say that they're open to doing it, but with the right characters. Pegg and Nick Frost are working on a new project, but they're not entirely sure what that project is going to be. We've seen them in the Cornetto trilogy, directed by Edgar Wright, which consisted of Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and World's End, and we've seen them together in the movie Paul. The Cornetto trilogy, they're three of my favorite movies, whereas Paul, I wasn't really that into it. So I'm not sure if it's Pegg working together, or if it's the fact that Edgar Wright's just a really good director and it worked for those movies, because Paul, for me, it just didn't really work that well for me. They're not sure what exactly they want to do, but they say they're working on something special, and Nick Frost says that if he had absolutely limitless resources to do, he'd want to do a kind of science fiction monster of the week, ghost hunting kind of movie or TV show. The Guardians of the Galaxy TellTale game has released its first few shots as well as news on its casting. But what I'm very excited about is the fact that Nolan North is going to be playing Rocket. Nolan North, who does practically all the video game voices. Specifically, he's known for Uncharted as Nathan Drake and Deadpool in the Deadpool video game. Given Telltale's lengthy dialogue in their video games, I think this will be a great way for Nolan North to have a lot of fun with the role of Rocket, especially since it's Rocket, who's this little foul-mouthed, sarcastic raccoon. But they also released a very brief synopsis of the game. The Guardians find a very powerful ancient artifact, and that each Guardian has their own reasons for wanting to take the artifact for themselves, and that's what they have to work on, which goes along the lines of all of the other Telltale games, that it's not so much action and gameplay, but making decisions for characters and directing how the story plays out based on your decisions. I've yet to play a Telltale game that I haven't liked, but my biggest issue is that the game is released episodically, so you get the first episode and then a month or two later you get the second. The problem is, by the time I beat the first episode and then wait the 2 months for the second, I might have forgotten a few things, or my perspective has changed over the 2 months, and that I'll want to go back and replay the previous episode so that I can get through the new episode with the decisions that I've made and that I want. So now, as far as Telltale comes, I usually just wait for the entire season of the episodes to be released, and then I'll go buy the game and play it. The American Gods TV show, based on Neil Gaiman's book of the same name, is coming out at the end of April, and they've released a new trailer. It's showing us a lot more story elements and a lot more of the characters of the gods that we'll be seeing in the show, and it looks interesting. American Gods is one of my all-time favorite books, and is by my all-time favorite author, Neil Gaiman. So I'm a little more hesitant to really get into this show and really be excited for it, because I'm worried that it's not going to live up to my expectations of the book. I'm trying to curb that. I'm trying to make sure that when I do watch the show, I watch it with an open mind, and that I just try to enjoy the show overall. Hopefully that's what's going to happen, and that I'll just be a very enjoyable show, and that I'll enjoy watching it. The look of the show and some of the characters is very far from how I imagined it. Especially some specific characters where they look a little bit more elaborate and eccentric than I kind of imagined them looking in the book. But it does look like they're not doing anything small in this show, where in the book the gods kind of lived subtly. The gods were living just as you and I live in America, in this world, and they weren't big or flashy, where the show seems to be going the bigger and flashier route for this one. So we'll see how that plays out. But I did see a lot of moments in the trailer that are directly from the book. And Neil Gaiman is involved in some capacity in the show and the direction the show takes. Fingers crossed that this will be a really good show and that I'll really enjoy it. Because the last TV show that was based on a book series that I really loved was Game of Thrones, and it had 4 great seasons and then just kind of went off the deep end. Because I'm very impatient and have been waiting 3 years for this game, watching EA with very little coverage of the game itself, when I was given the chance to pay $5 for EA Early Access to play the Mass Effect trial, it was no discussion. I immediately was fine paying the $5 to be able to play this game, and I don't regret it. I don't want to give away any spoilers, and the trial only takes place in the very early stages of the game and only gives you 10 hours from the time you start playing it to the time you stop playing it. So it's not that you have 10 hours of content to play through, it's that you have 10 hours. So even if you spend 10 hours in the menu, once that 10 hours is up, you can't play it anymore, which is kind of a bummer and is making me rush through the game to make sure that I get through everything I want to do before I run out of the time limit. But playing the game, my biggest comment is that it feels a lot like Star Trek. Maybe not like classic Star Trek or even Star Trek The Next Generation, which is the Star Trek that I watched when I was a kid. But a little more like the movie Star Trek, which, yes, I understand. I am not a huge Star Trek fan, which is probably why I like the new Star Trek movies more than I've liked the TV show, which I can understand why Star Trek fans of the show aren't big fans of the movies. They're a little more action-packed and a little less discovery. Where Mass Effect Andromeda is very similar in that there is action, there is shooting, it's a third-person shooter, there's great cover-based shooting mechanics working in the game. But from the beginning, the game is very clear that this is exploration. You're not soldiers, you're not invading a planet, you're not fighting off the Geth or the Reapers or Cerberus. You are explorers discovering these new worlds, this new galaxy. And how things work in this game stick to that explorer theme. But the entire time I've been playing the game, I've been taking screenshots of just about every cool moment, which is a lot of them just in the first maybe hour of gameplay. I really have no complaints, which is surprising because I went in this game with a lot of expectations, and so far they've been met. It definitely delivers on the exploration aspect. It really does feel more like Mass Effect 1, just with better graphics and better mechanics, which is what I've always wanted. There are a lot more customization features for customizing your character, and you can also customize your twin, as Scott and Sarah Ryder aren't just the male-female versions of the character, but twins in the game. So if you play one twin, the other twin is in the game. Depending on how you customize the twins, that determines how your father looks. And when I customized my twins, my father kind of looked like a Klingon / Idris Elba's character from Star Trek Beyond. I'll put a picture up so you can determine for yourself what he looks like, but for some reason when I see him, that's what he reminds me of. Officially, Mass Effect Andromeda launches on Tuesday the 21st, and that day can't come soon enough so that I can really sit down and get into this game, all of the smaller pieces, all of the side quests, all of the data pads, all of the dialogue options, all of the customization options, without having to worry about this 10-hour time limit that I have. But now I feel like I'm rushing to end this video so I can go back to playing Mass Effect Andromeda. Are there any geeky trends that I missed that you'd like to talk about? Let me know in the comments, or let me know on any of the social media. Follow me on all the internets, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and check out my Patreon so you can support more of my future content. Visit TempleToGeek.com, your one-stop for all things geek, and subscribe to my channel to geek out some more. Thanks for watching, and have fun.